Roll.
Senator Nelson.
Here.
Senator Lucio.
Here.
Senator Bittencourt. Senator Buckingham. Senator Campbell. Senator Creighton. Senator Hancock. Senator Huffman. Senator Colcourse. Senator Nichols. Senator Perry. Senator Schwartner. Senator Taylor. Senator West. Senator Whitmire.
Present.
A quorum is present.
Quorum is present. Good afternoon, members. We have two bills on the agenda today, both related to supporting our law enforcement. For those who are wishing to register a position on either of these bills, you may do so at any kiosk. Those wishing to provide written testimony only, you may register a position at the kiosk, then turn in the written materials to staff located in our overflow room E1028 across the hall. We will need 20 copies with your name on each copy, and we'll distribute it to offices after our hearing. If you wish to provide oral testimony, please go to room E1028 and fill out a witness card and turn it in to our staff. Okay, let's get started. First, Senator Hinojosa. The chair lays out Senate Bill 1071 and recognizes its Senate author, Senator Hinojosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members. It's good to be back before the Finance Committee. I will start out and talking about Senate Bill 1071. It relates to the disability retirement benefits for certain peace officers under the Employee Retirement System. The current benefit for a peace officer who is catastrophically injured in the line of duty is based on an amount equal to 100% of the officer's average monthly compensation at the time of their injury. Concerns have been raised that those benefits are not sufficient to assist in the long-term financial needs of a trooper who becomes totally disabled in the line of duty. The benefit also does not consider what the trooper might have earned in the career not being cut short. Senate Bill 1071 adjusts the disability retirement benefit to an amount based on a monthly amount computed using the maximum salary authorized under Schedule C of the Position Classification Salary Schedule prescribed by the General Appropriations Act as adjusted from time to time. It requires ERS to increase the officer's occupational disability retirement annuity to a monthly amount based on the maximum salary authorized under Schedule C. It allows for adjustments from time to time. The member under this section must present evidence satisfactory to ERS that the person's occupational disability makes the person incapable of substantial gainful activity solely because of the disability and is considered totally disabled by and under federal security laws. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions. I think right now there may be only 2 or 3 officers that would qualify if this bill were to pass.
Okay. Senator Lucio.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. Senator, thank you for this bill. This is a wonderful bill, and I'm very pleased that we will have an opportunity to show how grateful we are to those on our state roads, on our highways, and on call of duty to protect us in our state. You said there's 2 or 3 right now that would qualify. Over the last 10 years, would there be others that could have qualified if this bill had been enforced, let's say 10 years ago?
I think there'll be testimony offered about some of the experiences of the few DPS officers who have been injured catastrophically and have been unable to even meet their medical needs. And I'll give you an example. Moises Sanchez, DPS officer, was killed in the line of duty in the Rio Grande Valley. If he had survived under a situation, the family had to ask for donations just to be able to cover medical bills. Had to continue asking for donations if he were to survive and need medical support for the rest of his life. So this bill addresses those type of situations.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
And I think there's a substitute, Madam Chair.
Senator Hinojosa sends up the committee substitute to Senate Bill 1071. Is there objection to the adoption of committee substitute? Hearing none, committee substitute is adopted. Senator, do you want to explain the differences in the committee substitute?
It adds a fiscal responsibility amendment. It also adds language to provide an exemption from the requirements that ERS be actuarially sound for a benefit enhanced is made. And there's a fiscal note that gives an update on the situation that that it's only a small number of eligible occupational disability retirees that would qualify for this bill.
Thank you, and I'm going to ask Senator Whitmire to send up that committee substitute. Is there objection to adopting the committee substitute that Senator Whitmire just sent up? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you, Senator. Any questions on the committee substitute? Senator Huffman?
Yeah, just a couple of questions, Senator Hinojosa, and I'm looking at the substitute now, and I just want to make clear, and of course, we're all very supportive of this. It's just we also don't want to be in a position where we are asking ERS to do, to make payments that are prohibited in the government code. So we sort of need to clear this up, because in the government code it says that they can't increase benefits if the system is not actuarially sound. And the system, of course, is far from that at this point, and there's a bill working through that may start making amortization payments to get us there, but it's going to take us a while to get there. So, and I understand there's no fiscal note to the state. I'm worried about the fund. So your committee substitute would say that unless the system was actuarially sound, then these payments couldn't be made. Is that what I heard you say towards the end?
No, what it does, it exempts Senate Bill 1071 from the requirements of the ERS statute. Part of the problem is that it's a handful, maybe 2 or 3 DPS officers over the last 4 or 5 years, I understand. But when they do this actually sound analysis, what happens then is that they put in all the other requirements. So you're looking at over $1 billion just to make the actually sound, when this bill doesn't have the type of impact. And that's why they amended their fiscal note in terms of the impact it would have.
Is someone from ERS, I'm just concerned about we're doing something that also has constitutional maybe issues, because we can't give benefits that are over 10% and so forth.
Is there anyone from ERS here? Would you mind coming up? Well, I'd like you to fill out a card after. Go ahead.
Very good.
And again, I'm very supportive of what we're trying to do. It's just we can't pass a law that's contradictory to the law.
And I understand that, Senator Hubbard.
Yeah,
It's been a challenge in trying to work out
Yes.
those issues. And
Would you identify yourself, please,
Thank
for
you.
the record? And
Shaq Nail with
Mr.
the
Thal?
ERS, Madam Chair, members.
Thank
I've not seen the substitute, but what I understand from Senator Hinojosa is there's some language in there that would overrule what we refer to as 811-006, which is the statute that would prohibit a benefit increase if the funds are actuarially sound, which of course these two funds, the two funds in question here are the main ERS fund and the law enforcement fund. So
And would the payments come from both the ERS and the LECO fund?
approximately 80% of the benefit of the recalculation is what we would be doing immediately when if this bill passes. Approximately 80% of the recalculation will come from the ERS fund, 20% from the LECO's fund.
Okay.
And the total would be about $800,000 to do the recalculation.
Okay, per what?
We estimate 17 is what we see total, which is because the custodial officers are also in the 17. So if that's our interpretation at this point, that it covers DPS as well as custodial officers.
And it would be, you said 17 officers or 17?
17 total, counting.
Right.
I don't know what the breakdown is. I mean, we can get that if
Yeah. And what would the cost to the fund be?
$800,000 to do the recalculation.
Okay. For the life.
Half of those, yes.
And Senator Hubbard, we're still working to try to get the language just right and try to adjust or address that particular issue.
Have we in the past before, I don't know if either one of you know, carved out specific individs to
There have been, I think, I can't give you the specifics, but there have been 1 or 2 occasions of a very small number of people where it had a very minimal impact on either one of the trust funds.
So we just make an exemption for a certain
Yes.
number of people. Okay, thank you. Thanks for answering my
Senator,
question.
wait,
Appreciate it.
hold on just a second. Senator Perry, did you have a question?
I do.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And you may not be the individual who can tell me this, but so currently, do we provide an option to buy a disability policy? Is it on the employee if we do, if we don't? Have y'all looked at possibly looking into the disability market that for nominal amount of money, you could add to that as a package that the state could consider funding? I mean,
Under the group benefits plan, the health insurance, life insurance, et cetera, there is an option to buy a disability policy. It would be paid for at this point by the member.
so.
And I think one of the things we will be looking at, assuming Senate Bill 321 passes, we will be looking at that in the future.
Can you get the members what a typical Schedule C or wherever these guys fall into cost of a premium to, and typically those disability policies reimburse up to like 66% of their salaries.
Correct.
And they're usually fairly affordable. I mean, as an example, $50 a month, possibly something like that. Could you run some numbers? And I know you got other jobs to do, but I think, Madam Chair, this continually comes up.
Yes.
And if the state wants to do something like this, then I think it needs to be transparent, and we need to look at how much it costs. I know, and you're better at this than I am, I know under, not ERISA, but some of those things that if your employer buys the disability, does that make it a taxable benefit when they receive them or not? So little nuances, but just in general, could you run some numbers and give the state, because if 800,000 gets everybody covered, that's a different conversation than if we're just carving out those that have a real tragedy that we need to do. So I think that's something I'd be interested in knowing if we could do that.
Glad to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, I think we all would be interested in seeing that. Thank you. I see no other questions for Senator Hinojosa. We do have a witness. Chair will call Richard Jankovsky.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members. My name is Richard Jankovsky. I'm president of the DPS Officers Association, and we are for Senate Bill 1071. Recently, DPSOA worked with other members of the Law Enforcement Committee to assist a former trooper who was gravely wounded in a shooting 33 years ago. He was responding to a domestic violence call and was shot in the head and permanently disabled. Because of his hardships and what we saw, we actually did a fundraiser to purchase him a new electric wheelchair and a vehicle that could haul his wheelchair around because he simply wasn't able to. While working with them and witnessing the financial difficulty they have endured over the decades since his catastrophic injury, questions were raised about whether the current benefit is adequate to aid the needs of a trooper who suffers a career-ending injury that requires long-term care. The current benefit for someone who is catastrophically injured in the line of duty is based on an amount equal to 100% of the officer's average monthly compensation at the time of their injury. This was in 1988 that he was shot. I couldn't find a schedule to get an exact number on what that pay would be or what his rank was, but that's been a minute since that happened. It does not take into consideration what the trooper might have earned had their career not been cut short and is not adjusted for inflation. Senate Bill 1071 adjusts the disability retirement benefit to an amount based on a monthly amount computed using the maximum salary authorized under Schedule C of the position, classification, salary prescribed by the General Appropriations Act as adjusted from time to time. We believe this change would give comfort and aid that should a catastrophic injury be incurred while serving and protecting this state in the line of duty, that the trooper and their family will be taken care of over the long term. We appreciate Senator Hinojosa for filing this important bill and look forward to working with this committee on this issue. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Senator West.
And this may be a question to Senator Hinojosa, whomever can answer. Catastrophic injury, is that defined? Is that a defined term?
It is in terms of they have to be qualified under Social Security federal law as to what a catastrophic injury would be, and it only applies to this defined group of members.
So that's defined for purposes of ERS.
Correct. Well, that I do not know if it's defined for purpose of ERS, but this bill makes it in terms of for ERS to also make sure that they qualify under Social Security Disability Act 100%.
Okay, and is this retroactive, or is this prospective?
It is retroactive.
Okay. How retroactive is it? And back to 88? Or is it, are there individuals?
Well, I don't think that there are probably one or two individuals that I know of, so there wouldn't be anybody else alive who are still eligible for the benefits under this bill, or for the retroactive law to apply.
Okay.
Senator Nichols?
Is this related to disabilities in the line of duty, or just any disability?
What was the last part?
Is this any disability, or is this disabilities incurred in the line of duty?
Disabilities incurred in the line of duty.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Senator Whitmire?
Your reply to Senator West was this tragedy we heard about this morning, you'll cover it?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks for coming forward.
Any other questions of the witness? Any other questions of Senator Hinojosa? Is there anyone else here who wishes to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 1071? Hearing none, we're going to close public testimony. Senator Lucio moves that Senate Bill 1071 do not pass, but the committee substitute we adopted in lieu thereof do pass and be printed. Clerk, please call the roll.
Nelson.
Aye.
Bentoncourt. Buckingham. Campbell. Creighton. Hancock. Huffman. Colcourse. Lucio.
Aye.
Nichols. Perry. Schwartner. Taylor. West. Whitmire. 12 ayes, no nays.
There being 12 ayes and no nays, the committee substitute for 1071 will be reported favorably. Is there objection to this bill going to local and uncontested? No? Okay, then. Senator Lucio moves the bill be reported local and uncontested. Hearing no objections, it will be reported. Now, thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you,
Senator
members.
Lucio, would you please recognize me on Senate Bill 2222?
Sure, this time lays out Senate Bill 2222, recognizes its author, Chairwoman Nelson, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Senator Lucio. Mr. Chairman, Senate Bill 2222 directs that bullet-resistant windshields be provided for all Department of Public Safety patrol vehicles. I do have a committee substitute, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Nelson sets up committee substitute of Senate Bill 2222. Madam Chair, you're recognized to explain the difference.
And I would move, Mr. Chairman, that we adopt that substitute.
Okay.
It's being passed
You heard
out.
the motion. Without objection, members, so ordered.
Members, our DPS troopers and law enforcement officers put their lives on the line every day. Unfortunately, our DPS officers are increasingly targeted by individuals wishing to do them harm. Our troopers are most vulnerable while patrolling our highways, as we've seen with recent cases in which our troopers are ambushed in their vehicle. Senate Bill 2222 will add an extra layer of protection to shield our officers from these types of attacks. The substitute requires bullet-resistant windshields. Notice that word resistant. It adds the fiscal responsibility amendment and is a legislative council draft. Members, just a few weeks ago, one of our troopers was murdered in cold blood, shot in his patrol car, and we are not going to stand by while our troopers are being ambushed. Here in Texas, we back the blue, and passing this bill will help protect our officers from those who would do them harm. We do have Director McCraw is here as a resource to answer any questions. I know, Senator Whitmire, you did ask about the technical differences. The committee substitute, I think, will address it, but I think Director McCraw can help
Members, are there questions of the author at this time before we call on Colonel McCraw? There being none? Senator Hubman.
Senator Nelson, and thank you very much for bringing this bill forward. It's a great bill, and I'm proud.
Well, you're a co-author.
And thank you for inviting me to join Arthur. And you did mention a trooper, but I wonder if it would be appropriate if I could just name about 6 troopers and call their name out publicly that have been killed, if you would allow me that while Director McCraw is here. We had Terry Miller, 37, shot and killed October the 12th, 1999. He was survived by a wife and 2 daughters, aged 13 and 1. Trooper Randall Vetter, age 28, August of 2000. He was survived by his wife and their 8-month-old son, Robert. April 29, 2008. Trooper James Byrne died the same type of injury, survived by his wife and 5-month-old child. November 23rd, 2002, Trooper Allen. He was 221st DPS officer to die in the line of duty since 1823. August 31st, 2019, Trooper Charles Pryor was ambushed by a subject in Midland, Texas. He sustained a wound to his face. March 31st, 2021, Trooper Chad Walker, as we all know, succumbed to his injuries sustained. Also survived by a wife, son, and 3 daughters. And most recently, Trooper Juan Tovar, who was catastrophically wounded, suffering a gunshot wound to his eye, but now recovering. So I just want to take a moment to stop and reflect on the sacrifices that these men and women make for us, and to underscore the importance of something that we can do as a legislature that will really make a difference. And thank you for being here, Director Markov.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator Nelson.
Thank you, Senator Huffman. At this time, the chair will recognize Senator Whitmire.
I was going to ask the director, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Will you comment on the technology? I was in a conversation with some of your colleagues the other day, and there was some discussion about the best type.
Yes, sir.
That there's actually some ongoing research that might improve what you would want to use.
Yes, sir.
Are we given every opportunity to do this right? And
Yes, sir.
no one wants to, certainly you or the chair or any of my colleagues, postpone. I'm getting a call from somebody. Not on that topic. But could you speak to what is the prototype that would you look for, maybe what other agencies are using? And are you on the, maybe getting close to getting even a better type that we might want to encourage
Yes, sir.
you to have time to use?
Yes, sir. Steve McCraw, Director of Texas Department of Public Safety. On the bill, as a resource witness. First, if you don't mind me saying, Senator and Chairman, that it's certainly humbling to be here. And when other legislative bodies are looking to defund police, you're looking to take care of them. So God bless you in the state of Texas. So that commercial, and I'll move to your point of your question. We're concerned that we have all the answers right now. We don't, because we haven't gone out for an official bid, which really takes that to have very specific information. But we have worked and talked to a number of companies. We've worked with the Secret Service that has their own options along those lines to look at what can we do based upon the inquiries we got from you to better protect our officers or special agents and Texas Rangers in the midst of the type of attacks that we've been seeing over the last 3 years. And clearly bullet-resistant glass would have made a big difference, certainly in the last trooper that we lost, Chad Walker. It would have helped, okay, when Trooper Juan Tovar lost his left eye. It would have helped in that situation and possibly diverted that particular wound in that instant. Even though it was a 7.62, just in terms of the angle, it's quite possible. But I can tell you that what we can't do is we can't laden the vehicles with a level. There's a number of levels that go up to 8. We cannot make it a bulletproof. It can't be an Apache. It can't be a tank. It can't be. There's certain things it can't be because of weight and the impact it might have on the overall safety of the vehicle. And as you know, these are pursuit vehicles. We drive them over 100 miles an hour, and crashes are fatal as well. So we have a mixed, you know, when we look at it in terms of we can get the most, and really it's about a level 3, which will handle all handguns, okay? And it's also, you know, less likely to have an impact on the drivability of the vehicle. Right now, it's estimated up to anywhere from 19.5 to $20 million in terms of to take out all of what we have right now and retrofit them, and to allow $5 million replacement costs for new vehicles that come online. And that's the fiscal note that we have for this particular bill. I can tell you that, you know, between the front windshield and the side windshield is where we're most vulnerable at, and will continue to be vulnerable. So, you know, it's something that we do feel strongly. Anything we can do to better protect our officers from sustaining injury. And I talked about the recent increases. There's a narrative nationally that we're suffering from, that and police officers are more targets now today than they ever were. And what side of the political spectrum, whether it's the 3% militia or it's Antifa, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you just look at the last 2.5 years, we've had a 500% increase in shootings at DPS officers. And of course, we're mindful of that. And the one common denominator that we see among these shootings, and also our use of deadly force, is individuals that have been convicted previously of violent crimes. And those are the ones that have been shooting. Moises Sanchez, a criminal record, a violent criminal record as a youth. Of course, certainly Chad Walker, Damon Allen. Those are the indicators. So and that's unfortunately, but that's the type of people we need to be taking off the streets. That's what you expect our officers to do. It's what and that's the best way to protect the public, is to engage those most violent on active shooters or whatever, regardless of the particular scenario. In the active shooter scenario, like in Bryant, when Juan Tovar responded, you expect us to do that, and they want to do that, and they're honored to do that, and humbled to have that mission. So we'll continue to do it regardless, but we're very grateful for anything you can do to help better protect them, and thank you for that. I don't know if that's helpful, Chairman. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Senator West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Steve, is I'll say, technology available in order to make certain that we provide windshields that accomplish all of the purposes that you just mentioned? It's a trade-off of the more you get, the more it weighs, the more dangerous it is to be driving in. I can say that. No, I understand that. Yeah. I understand that.
Yeah.
Is there something out there where we don't have to do those trade-offs? Maybe that's...
Yeah. Not yet that we're aware of. There's no trade-offs in the situation. And, of course, we're concerned about, you know, level of protection, but and as I indicated earlier, is that right now, even working with Secret Service in terms of the experts in that regard, because some of the factors that affect the glass or this bullet resistant, because no bulletproof glass, by the way, it's bullet resistant, because you shoot enough times into it, depending on the caliber, you're going to break through that particular glass. But it gives us a window and opportunity to survive and be able to return or escape, deadly fire in that situation. But going back to the point of it being bullet resistant in that regard, is that regardless of the agencies that we talk to, even really right now, the bandwidth is not out there as well. No company makes enough of them to do it quick enough. So it'll be something that has to be a long-term contract in terms of retrofitting these. So there's no immediate solution that we'll have a week from now or come September 1st, we can promise you that we're going to deliver, 2,000 cars or 1,000 cars, even 500 cars. It's going to take time. Now we hope, like everything else, technology improves. And technology not only improves, but it becomes less expensive. And we're hoping that this investment, or in other investments in technology, that we'll see the price dramatically decrease, and the ability, the reinstall or the install, in terms of duration, how long it takes, will decrease as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Steve, we're focusing on the front windshield. I'm just curious, is there ever a discussion about the other windows?
No, we've talked about it, and because the ones we've been shot through, all the examples you used has been front windshield. and close to a side windshield, meaning as you open the door. So we haven't looked at adding the additional cost it would take for a rear windshield or the other windshields. And another factor is that, we're still concerned about the UV impact and it clouding and giving starbursts where you're driving at night. So we just haven't seen that, we don't want to have to reinstall them each year because we're.
As we talked today, the incidents would indicate the vulnerability is
Yes, sir.
the front windshield?
Yes, sir. Front windshield and side windshield is the most vulnerable, where we're most vulnerable in the contact.
Both sides.
Yes. And even when we're doing, special agents are doing takedowns on these serial robberies in Houston, you've seen some of the footage along that from the air on how they're able to do it and box these vehicles in so they can't escape, because you always have to take them down. The serial robbery crews, you have to take down after the fact. You can't do it during the event. If you do it during the event, you're risking, citizens' lives because of the violence that you don't need a shootout in the parking lot. So you've seen the techniques that we've developed is all designed to box them in, is every windshield is facing towards the adversary.
Both windshields come into play? Both sides, door windows,
Just door window and
each side?
no, just the left side.
Driver's side.
Yes, sir. We rarely operate with two troopers in a vehicle.
How often
except
does
when
a
they're training.
trooper or law enforcement need to shoot from in their car through a window to protect themselves?
We did. Juan did that in this last shooting. He fired a burst of 9 rounds as he was bleeding on the way out. Was he backing up? So they do that. This bulletproof resistant glass, you won't be doing that.
A bullet going through the windshield, I've always also wondered about a home invader. If you
Yeah.
shot through a window, what does that do to the trajectory of the bullet?
It's always going to have an impact on the trajectory.
Sir?
It will always have an impact on the trajectory. And there is, it'll stand, I want to make one change. There is some bullet-resistant material out there you can shoot through. I'm not saying that will be it's level 3 or be the ultimate one that we get. There is some that you can shoot through. And right now, we train troopers to shoot through the glass, because what happens is as you pull up on a vehicle.
The front windshield?
Yes, sir. If you pull up on a vehicle right now, we've done it successfully. We did it in a number of different chases and successfully. But when you pull up on a vehicle, you're right. If you haven't stopped yet and they've got out of the vehicle, and what happened to Chad? Chad did the same thing that, troopers, Murphy and, did, and Wheeler did back in 1934 when they provided public assistance to Bonnie and Clyde. They rolled right up to them, right in front, and they were gunned down. Well, Chad did the same thing. He just saw a disabled vehicle, and we've talked about sometimes public safety, the most important thing you can do is change a flat tire or help somebody off the roadway. When Chad pulled up, he's there to do public assistance, a disabled vehicle. And the suspect had a 40, caliber on his side. And as he pointed and shot, right between, right in the windshield, directly into it. Well, his vehicle is still rolling. He didn't have time to even put it in park. So that's where you're most vulnerable. So we're looking at all the different, we always have to think mindful of those tactics and techniques and procedures that we adopt. And we always have to be, and as you recall, how many troopers have been hit from behind, okay? And since 2016, January 2016, we've had over 60 troopers hit from behind. And we lost, Senior Trooper Tom Nipper. We lost, he was the most recent one we lost, because people don't pay attention and slam right into the behind of our vehicle. So you got to be careful. You got to be looking at frontwards and backwards when you're out there. So it is, it's the nature of the job. It's always dangerous. But anything we can do to mitigate. First of all, we don't want to invest in anything that's not going to work. Plain. If we're not convinced that it's not going to work, we'll come back to this legislative body and we're going to say, I'm sorry, we don't feel comfortable investing your money, the people's money, in a technology that has not proven on the track and in our testing is going to be survivable or is something that we want. We'd rather have that money lapse than spend it, okay? Waste it, I'll put it that way. We're still hopeful that we will find a level that will better protect them. At the same time, it's a good investment, but it's a risk investment, meaning that we're hopefully we'll never have to use it. But unfortunately, the way things have gone over the last 3 years, it appears that we're going to be using it more and more.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Nelson?
So does the language in the committee substitute allow you enough flexibility that should some new technology emerge, you will be able to implement the new technology? Or do we need to
Yes, ma'am, you've done that. By calling it bullet resistant.
Right.
That covers it. And you're not giving us a specification of what level that we have to have.
Okay.
You're giving us that flexibility. So, which helps us another way. If we put 1,000 pounds on that front windshield and we're in a crash, you know, the survivability of these vehicles have improved dramatically over the years. And we're very thankful on the last number of crashes that we've had in SUVs that the vehicle collapses around it and protects the trooper, as opposed to, you know, seriously injures or kills the trooper. So we don't want to compromise that as
Right.
well.
Right.
And that's our promise to you, is that we'll look at both of those factors before we spend any money.
Good. Our goal is to protect our officers.
Yes, sir.
So, and you've got the flexibility to do that within the language in the committee substitute as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks to y'all, we do.
Senator Taylor?
Yeah, thanks, Senator Lewis. And I'm just thinking about the different problems you have. You know, we didn't think about all these other things. I know we went to windshields, they made them more flexible for car crashes. But now with airbags and seat belts, maybe that's not as prominent as it once was. But I'm just wondering if we should be opening up to look at all types of options. You know, a lot of times sci-fi becomes reality. I mean, you think back to James Bond, the things popping up and those kind of things. I mean, you could almost, I just think you ought to look at other things other than windshields. It might be something as simple as a metal plate on the front hood that's spring-loaded that pops up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
We've even heard visors as example, you know?
Yeah.
That can be unfolded down, that provides us so we're going to look at all of those particular things.
The recommendation I would have, we
Yeah.
don't just limit it to windshields. If there's some other technology that might work and not have some of these other, you know, bad sides, we ought to at least look into what all the options are to protect an officer from being shot from the front. Would be my suggestion. City Colonel.
Any other questions, members of Director McCraw? Director, thank you very much for your testimony, and I think all of us appreciate Senator Huffman also sharing with us the information she had, and I think Senator Nelson spoke loud and clear, made it very clear to everyone in this whole state, everyone in this whole nation, that we're going to stand by our peace officers, especially our family officers here at the state of Texas. And all I can think of at this point is the love that these officers showed. As the scripture says, no greater love than to lay down one's life for his brothers and sisters. So thank you for what you do.
And I just, you know, we always hear that at the funeral of a police officer, and those are very heartening words, and it's hard to keep your composure when you hear them.
Right.
And I heard the recent dedication, thanks to y'all, because we dedicated a highway up in Hereford, Texas, for one of our fallen heroes, and to hear his daughter say that, but she changed it a little bit. Instead of, you know, for your friends, she said, you know, it's even when you're a DPS trooper, it's also for your enemies. You know, it's for strangers and it's for your enemies, and we're mindful of that. You didn't, you know, you charge us to protect Texas, and that's everybody in Texas, and with that comes risk. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well spoken.
Thank you.
Witness.
We got one more witness. Okay, we do have one more witness card, and the chair this time recognizes Richard Jankovsky, president of the DPSOA.
Good afternoon again, Mr. Chair, Madam. My name is Richard Jankowski. I'm president of DPSOA, and we're here in support of Senate Bill 2222. As this committee is aware, we've had several tragic incidents of troopers being killed or seriously injured as a result of perpetrators shooting through the windshields of our vehicles. Senator Huffman just read a list which includes my recruit school classmate Damon Allen and most recently Chad Walker. This weekend, I spent the weekend with Chad's dad and his 15-year-old son. And when we met on Friday, I told him that this bill had been filed and talked to him about that I was going to be here today and what this can do for us. And they were ecstatic. We had a great trip. We had a lot of fun. Mr. Walker said that's the first time Ethan had smiled in about 3 weeks. I don't ever want to go on one of those trips again. And I think this is going to help me not have to do that. DPSOA appreciates Senator Nelson and Senator Huffman for addressing this issue, and we support efforts to fortify our vehicles. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions, members? The witness. Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I want to
Close.
rename.
No.
Okay, members, is there anyone else here today like to testify on, for, or against Senate Bill 2222? If not, we close public testimony.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that Senate Bill 2222 do not pass, but the committee substitute we adopted in lieu thereof do pass and be printed.
Clerk, call the roll.
Nelson,
Aye.
Bentoncourt, Buckingham, Campbell, Creighton, Hancock, Huffman, Holcourse, Lucio,
Aye.
Nichols, Perry, Schwartner, Taylor,
Aye.
West, Whitmire. 12 ayes, no nays.
There being 12 ayes and no nays, the committee substitute for Senate Bill 2222 is reported favorably.
Local.
Local. Okay, Senator Nelson asked it to be considered to a local non-contested
Madam
county.
Chair? This does just say bullet-resistant windshields. Would you not want to consider changing the wording to allow other types of armor as well?
I'd be happy to, if you have suggestions, take it to the floor and.
Yeah, that's why I was saying we could do that.
Sure.
Work with
Sure.
the
Don't-
DPS and see if
Sure.
we couldn't change the wording. 'Cause
Sure.
I just hate to limit it to one technology when there may be something out there that we
I'm
could.
fine with that. I'm fine with that. Make sure he's got, I'm not gonna slow it down.
All right.
Make sure he's got suggestions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, yep.
Very good. Okay, members, in that case, the bill is, the committee substitute for Senate Bill 2222 is reported favorably, goes to the floor.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, any other business coming before the committee today? With no other business coming before the committee, we're gonna stand in recess, subject to the call of the chair. Thank you, members.